So welcome everyone to beautiful New Westminster and Rethinking the Region 4. My name is Meg Holden, and it's going to be my job to keep us on schedule today. And what I'd like to do first of all is invite Chief Larrabee from the local Kakate Nation to welcome us to her territory. Thank you.
Hosiem, Hosiem. My name is Rhonda Larrabee, and I'm Chief of the Kakate First Nation. On behalf of my ancestors, I'd like to welcome you to the traditional territory of the Kakate First Nation. Kakate in our language means resting place. The federal government recognizes us as the New Westminster Indian Band, number 566. We are often referred to as the River People, and have resided on the Fraser River for many, many centuries. When visitors came down the river in their canoes and stopped at our village, we always welcomed and shared a feast with them so they would feel at home while far away from theirs. So thank you all for honoring and respecting this sacred tradition. There were many different tribes along the Fraser, and life along the river was good. It was peaceful and food was plentiful. There was lots of berries, wildlife, and of course, the overabundance of fish from spring until late fall. As many as 3,000 First Nations from upriver, Vancouver Island, and the US would come to this area to fish during the summer months. As this is the season of the spring solstice, it means a renewal of the leaves on the trees, flowers on the plants, new young for the animals, and the hibernating bears have awakened. Today, there will be presentations of new ideas, reflections on the past, and decisions about the future. I ask the Creator for you to have a clear and open mind, to listen, to have a good heart, and for wise words to be spoken all day today. The future is so important for our children and the generations that follow. Haichka Siem. Thank you, Haichka.
Thank you very much, Chief Larrabee, for that very generous welcome. My name's Peter Hall, and on behalf of the Urban Studies Program at Simon Fraser University, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you all here today. This is the fourth in our Rethinking the Region series. The first two workshops that we held were in Surrey. They focused on substantive issues, transportation, economy. Last year we met in Vancouver. We talked about affordable housing. We perhaps didn't solve that one. Today, we're taking a step back from substantive issues, particular policy decisions, and really reflecting more on the framework within which those decisions are taken. This is a day when we're going to talk about the way we take decisions more than the actual substance of those decisions themselves. It's particularly appropriate to be here in New Westminster, partnered with the city and also with the public policy program to have this conversation. You know, this is a particular place with its history, a deep history that Chief Larrabee shared with us, a less deep history that leads to strange outcomes, such as calling this building the Anvil Center. You'll need to find someone who's been here 3 generations before you can really get that one decoded. But also, this is a place that is shaped by decisions in the rest of the region. Some of you came here by SkyTrain. That's the product of decisions 30 years ago, decisions that we're struggling in this region to take today. You would have seen all the trucks on Columbia Street. That's the product of economic decisions and truck routing and road investment decisions that are being taken in our region. Those kinds of decisions are difficult at the regional scale because at the same time as they create benefits, at the same time that transit creates great property value and great accessibility for the public, it disperses the costs across the region. And at the same time that those trucking routing decisions bring benefits widely in the economy, in the region and well beyond our region, they also bring costs at particular places in terms of pollution and noise emissions and so on. So regional decisions are political because they create costs and benefits, and those costs and benefits don't line up neatly and easily in space and time. That's why we're here today, to talk about and to think about the framework within which we take those difficult decisions about who wins and who loses and how we decide. So New Westminster is a great place for this discussion, and the Public Policy Program are great partners for us to be having that conversation with. I need to thank a few other people for making today's event possible. Firstly, the Real Estate Foundation of British Columbia and the Fraser Real Estate Board, through an endowment, the Urban Sustainable Development Endowment. They make this event possible. They made the previous events possible. They allow us to do some really creative things in our program, take students to visit Cascadian neighbors once a year, to fund our fall speaker series and other kinds of events. So thank you to them for their generous funding that really makes this possible. Thank you also to today's funding partners, the City of New Westminster, our colleagues in the Public Policy Program, the Transit Center from New York. I also want to recognize many dignitaries and elected officials in the audience today. Mayor Fassbender, who will be joining, Minister Fassbender, who will be visiting us later. However, former Mayor Fassbender. Kennedy Stewart from the federal government as the Member of Parliament for Burnaby South. Mayor Jonathan Cote, Mayor Jack Froese, and Chief Bryce Williams of the Tsawwassen First Nation. These elected officials are joined by councillors from New Westminster, from Richmond, from Coquitlam, perhaps from other places as well. It's wonderful to see you here. And then also particularly from Vancouver, Councillor Raymond Louis will be joining us, and he's also the president of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. It's a great pleasure to have all of these elected officials here. They're supported by staff, by employees, by workers in various regional agencies. We have representatives of Metro Vancouver, of TransLink, of boards of trade, of labor unions. And then, of course, we have many staff of these organizations, students, and citizens. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Finally, I'd just like to say that this kind of engagement, this kind of conversation that we're having today, it's a day of sharing, it's a day of learning, but it's also a day of disagreeing, and that's absolutely okay, because these are political decisions. These are matters that we can and should be willing to disagree on. None of this would have been possible without the great work of my two colleagues. So thank you very much to Meg Holden of the Urban Studies Program and to Josh Gordon of the Public Policy Program for putting together such a rich program today. And thank you also to all the students who've worked with you to pull together the information package that you have and to put on the show. Thanks everyone for being here. I look forward to a great day of discussion.
All right, so it falls to me to welcome you from the perspective of the School of Public Policy. Normally, I would not be the person that is doing this. There are others that are more established, but there were a few mishaps, so here I am. So I'm going to keep it short. This is the first time I've ever done this. I'm going to just thank a few people. I want to thank Meg for working very well with me, being on the ball the whole process, and so I really appreciate that. I want to thank all the students that contributed to the backgrounder that's on your tables. Often some of that work fell at a very busy time of the year, and they pulled through, and that's great. I want to thank the volunteers for coming out today and helping. And I want to thank the speakers as well, and then of course all of you for showing up and contributing in the discussions that will follow. My only one substantive comment is I feel that the region is growing rapidly. It's facing a number of strains, and from my limited sense of the field, we've done fairly well so far, but there are some major challenges ahead, and so I think we need to think carefully, and hopefully this is a start about how we want to move forward. So, welcome.
Okay, so let's get started. I just wanted to let you know how the day is going to run a little bit, because it really, the nature of our day depends a lot on how all of us assembled here are going to engage together. So there are a number of these Rethinking the Region booklets on your tables. Some of you may also have them on your mobile devices. And if you turn into page 4, you have your agenda laid out. So you can refer to that. We are going to keep to this agenda. And I'll just briefly tell you about the agenda, that we've designed it to kind of front load the listening, so that we're going to spend some time initially hearing about the foundation of some of our regional institutions and the vision that went into creating them, and what was the thinking that went into those institutions with our first panel. We're also going to hear this morning from the Minister responsible for Community, Sport and Cultural Development, and I hope the question that he'll address is whether the regional district model still serves Metro Vancouver as a sort of one-size-fits-all regional district model for the province that was created 50 years ago. And we are also, before lunch, going to hear from Zach Taylor, who's we'll introduce more thoroughly in a while, but who is an expert in Canadian regionalism more broadly. And he will also be joined by David Bragdon, and again, more fulsome introductions are forthcoming, but who also has a deep background in the operation of the Portland regional governance system, which is often considered to be the sort of gold standard in North America. So we have all of the best ideas that we know about coming to sort of enrich our conversation. And then in the afternoon, we're going to spend more time really negotiating and arguing and hopefully coming up with some new gems of ideas with our 2 afternoon panels, looking at how the regional governance system does and doesn't work from a local leader's perspective, and then talking with you, facilitated by students, and then finishing up with where do we go from here? What can we really do from this starting point? So I'm going to invite the first panel to come up and get established, and maybe while they do that, yeah, thanks very much. While they do that, I'll just mention also that we are being filmed today by New West TV, public television station. So that's something to keep in mind. And we are also being live streamed on the Urban Studies website. You can also follow us on Twitter, and the details for that are in your program. SFU Urban or SFU_MPP, hashtag RTR 2016. And with that, we will give you a break at 10:30, and lunch will be served in the same area as the coffee has been served at about noon, a little bit after. Another thing to stick around for the whole day is our reception at the end of the day, where we know the real ideas are going to start to come up as we unwind together. And we will also have an exciting pre-reveal of a book that's in progress on one of our other regional leaders. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Patty Smith, who will be moderating our first panel, What Vision Gave Rise to Our Regional Government System. Thank you.